Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, chat. Very excited for today's show. For those that I haven't met yet, I'll just do a quick introduction on myself. My name is Kenny, and I'm on the community team here at Whatnot. I'm a community manager, and I've been here at Whatnot for 3.5 years. I did the math earlier today. I can't believe it's been 3.5 years. It feels like, in some ways, 3 days, and in some ways, much longer. And I've been very lucky to kind of be able to see the growth of this platform, of this company, of the team over the last 3.5 years, and m- you know, got to see how many people's lives this app has changed and enabled them to turn their passions into a business while connecting people through commerce, which is our mission here. And so, like, it's been very, very rewarding on a personal level to be part of that, and get to see that, and hopefully contribute to that. And then the team that I sit on, the community team, we're really focused on bringing sellers together at scale, and educating them, and of course fostering that human to human connection, which makes Whatnot so special. And so our team shows up in various things like seller education events, seller education content, IRL events, which you're going to hear about this show and a lot more in the future. And we have this channel, right? The Whatnot Sellers account on Whatnot. And this account is the official seller facing account on Whatnot. And so if you're a Whatnot seller joining in, um, drop a follow, bookmark upcoming shows. We got one next week about shipping. We go live here about once a week with all kinds of educational content for sellers. And so good account to follow. Today's show, like I said, is a very special one. You know, you all here as sellers are building businesses, and some of you have already built large businesses here. Some of you are just getting started. But all of you are playing a part in where we're going next. And so it's very exciting today that I have with me Whatnot's co-founder and CEO, Grant. Grant each year releases a letter to our customers, like an annual letter to our customers. He released his yesterday, and we're kind of here to sort of talk through that, some of the highlights of that, and just the general direction of where we've been and where we're going. And so, very excited to have Grant here. Grant, thanks for being here, and welcome to Whatnot Sellers.
Well, Kenny, thanks so much for emceeing this, and everyone who's tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the Whatnot community. Super excited to chat with folks, take questions, and sort of give people an idea of where we're going.
Amazing. So I guess let's frame it up a little bit, like, what, big picture stuff. If you're looking back on 2025, what are the sort of bigger things that come to mind in terms of, where we went, and sort of how it set us up for success this year, and how we're kicking it off?
Yeah, so I think so we've been working on Whatnot now for a little over 6 years, and the thing we've always tried to do is every day just make the product a little bit better, for our buyers, for our sellers, and for the broader community. And in some ways, that focus hasn't changed. I work 7 days a week. I focus on that every day. I read all of the good feedback. I read more of the bad feedback. And then, over the course of 6 years, we've just continued to make it better. And then more and more folks have come in and made the community better. And so if you look at last year, I really think it was sort of like an inflection point for live commerce. You can really start to see with the breadth of sellers and the community how it is translating sort of what would have been, physical brick and mortar retail online to a huge variety of categories, from collectibles to food to fashion. And we really had a breakthrough year because of the community. So I think, in the US and UK, we ended the year as a top 20 app in the App Store. Buyers grew 6 or 7x on the platform. We had thousands of sellers build real, and I mean, hundreds of thousands of sellers build big businesses, and, in the thousands do over $1 million in sales. And so I think it was the first year you really started to see how live commerce and the businesses that people are building are how they're going to impact so many more people. And it was a very exciting year for us.
Yeah, it was a heck of a year, and I feel like we went from, like, almost proving that live streaming commerce is a thing, to now it's like a mainstay, and how do we build the best platform for it? And um look, we launched a lot of new categories last year, and yeah, it's been really exciting to see those come online, especially over the last 3.5 years, like where we were and where we are now in terms of breadth and depth of different categories. Um, what do you think is attributing to that sort of category explosion, maybe we could call it, where we're not just a collectibles place anymore. Like we're really, become quite a big just e-commerce platform, generally speaking.
Yeah, look, I think everything we do is framed in the same context, which is we just do things that try and make the platform better for buyers and sellers. And so what we see is the more categories we're able to enable on the platform, the more people come to Whatnot, the more people who come to Whatnot, the more businesses that are able to get built. So it brings in lots of new buyers. Many of those buyers purchase across, multiple categories. So I think, cross category buyers grew drastically last year, probably greater than half of buyers purchase in more than one category. And so as we can expand that, just help sellers build bigger, better businesses. It gives buyers a better experience. There's more things for them to do. So I think last year we saw, we ended the year with the average user watching about 95 minutes of live streams. A lot of that's because you start to expand the category selection, you get more people in, there's more things for them to do, and it just helps everyone else, build their business. And so, I think that's sort of how we think about it. And, I think we did over 30 or 40 new categories last year. Happy to talk about some of them, but that's sort of it at a high level.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the food and drink category, although, my waistline maybe not so much. Oh, man, I just got some cookies from a new seller, trying to recall the name. I think it was Cookies in Color or something like that. Really cool cookie seller came on, and I couldn't resist, got the cookies, delicious. Chat, what's been your favorite maybe emerging category or newer category that you've been really enjoying lately? Um, Drop it in the chat, we see fossils, that's really
Toys,
cool.
food, candy. I'm a big fan of fossils. Actually, it's one of the more fun streams to watch because you never know what someone's gonna like put up on screen or put up for an auction. It's quite fun.
The tactical gear, okay, yeah, I've seen those. Those are interesting too. The handmade stuff's been popping off. Um, yeah, and I think, right, with a lot more coming, right, online as well. I know that, farm to table is one that we're looking at, and, lobsters
Very
one
excited
day,
for that.
right, Grant? One day you'll
We I heard a rumor from our team that's working on food and drink. They might have someone starting to sell crab on Whatnot, direct from the source. So I think the idea of being able to
like
get
Starlink
fresh.
out on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
I think the first one's actually like a restaurant that sort of sells like crab rolls and ships them to you. But one day we will have the fishermen on the boat, and you will get it to your doorstep in 24 hours, and it will be a magical experience.
That will be magic for sure. Golf worth mentioning, just some standouts. Golf has now grown to over $1 million a week. And I was actually at a golf event that we held, I think it was in Texas in 2025, and it was incredible just to see that community and the spirit of that community. Talk about passion. I mean, golf folks are like they are so into it. It's unbelievable. Now I suck at golf, admittedly, so I can't hit the golf ball, so I don't understand that passion, but it was certainly fun to see that community kind of get together and rally behind something that they love.
Yeah, no,
Golf,
golf's I wish I was a better golfer. I'm a terrible golfer, and I actually hurt my hand this summer attempting to learn how to golf, and so I'm out of commission until my
you
hand heals.
you retired. I feel you on that. And I
Yeah.
live in Florida, so it's like in Florida you either go fishing or you're a golfer. And so I decided the fishing route. That's where I've been. Um, some strong international momentum as well, right? So we could talk a little bit about that. Do you want to touch on sort of international growth in 2025?
Sure. I think we brought the business international about 3 years ago or so, and we've just continued to try and make the user experience better. I think last year, similar to sort of the breakout we saw in the US, we started to see a lot of breakout across Europe, and we launched Australia as well. Um, so I think we were, top 20 app in the App Store in the UK, one of the top shopping apps there. Our business in Germany and France, 5 or 6x. And I think this one, as we do that, we're able to help more people build businesses that they're proud of, and help small business grow. And then two, for the existing sellers that are on the platform, you all of a sudden have an audience that's global who can potentially buy things and help grow your business. As we look forward to 2026, which is feels weird saying 2026. Um, I think we're going to continue to invest really deeply in those places. We're going to continue to launch new countries because the more stuff there is for people on Whatnot, the better the businesses that are on Whatnot can grow. So a lot of momentum, a lot of exciting stuff, and you'll probably see some maybe a couple new countries come online in 2026.
Yeah, it's been super cool to see those, our new markets kinda popping off and hit some, like, serious, like, strides in 2025, and I look forward to seeing kinda where we go next. Um, so, look, none of this category growth, none of this success and everything else that we've been talking about so far could be possible without our incredible seller community across all of our categories. Part of my job is to work very closely with those folks, and so I feel very lucky that I get to hear these sort of, like, anecdotal stories all the time of, like, community and spirit and growth and friendships and everything else that really makes the Whatnot experience pretty magical. Um, we got a lot like, we started piloting, and shout out to Casey who's modding this. You guys probably know Casey if you've watched this account before. Casey's, been running with some, test meetups last year, and I got to go to a few of those, and again, one of them being the golf one, but others, being just, cross category, and that was really special because, like, imagine 200 sellers at a Top Golf in Tampa, Florida from across 20, 30 different categories. And you would think, well, how would that work? Would that be fun? And like, it was unreal. It was just like being in almost like the best way I could almost put it is like being in like an entrepreneurial mass networking event. Everyone's excited. Everyone's thinking outside the box. Everyone's like hyped up and sharing best practices. And so we're really excited that like those tests are going to give way to some more meetups and more structured meetups this year. And so, do you want to maybe touch on the magic of that and what we're planning for 2026 in the world of like IRL meetups?
Sure. Look, I think, first, it's amazing that anyone can build their business from their home or garage or warehouse. But, being able to talk to people in person, share tips and tricks, um, help motivate each other is, you just can't replace it. And at Whatnot, I think we try to invest in education, as you can tell, through things like this and improving the product. But sometimes there's no one better to learn from than people who are in the trenches doing the thing, who have built incredible businesses. And so we just think there's a lot of value in getting sellers together. So we launched the Meetup Hub to continue to allow people to organize. We'll also do our first ever seller conference in Austin this year in April. Um, and so, we're really excited to be able to get sellers together to make sure that people at Whatnot are engaged with our sellers, hearing their feedback, hearing the things that are going wrong. We like the things that are going well too to make us feel good, but really want to hear the stuff that where we can improve, and then just be able to connect folks so that they can help each other build relationships. Because as I'm sure we all know, building a business from scratch is not an easy affair. And so having someone you can talk to or share tips and tricks with is really, really, really helpful. And so I'm personally looking forward to meeting a ton of our sellers in Austin and learning from them and seeing what we can do to be better.
Yeah, super, super exciting. Chat, let us know. Have you been to an event, a Whatnot meetup, whether it was organized by Whatnot in 2025 or whether it was just some sellers that you've met through doing business on Whatnot and became friends and met? And I see a lot of yeses here and it's been really cool. And so, again, the URL for the Meetup Hub is pinned in the chat and that is live. And so, on that URL, you can do two things. You could, one, apply to host your own meetup in your local community. Um, and you could also just see what's happening around you in your area and RSVP to those meetups. And so, really, really great place for you to check out if you're interested in meeting like-minded individuals who sell and whatnot. So that's super duper exciting. Let's see. Let's shift maybe a little bit. I want to talk about some of the tools that we've helped build to help sellers grow their businesses. Um, about every month we do a blog post. Also, if we could, pin the blog URL for our folks here in the chat who don't know about the blog. We have a Whatnot blog. It's very, very good. We release content there several times a month, and it's just a wonderful place to stay kind of in the know and in the loop on all the greatest and latest things that are happening on Whatnot, whether it's on platform events, special commission events, whether it's IRL events, or just news about the industry. And often every month we do like a product roundup where we'll kind of capture the newest features or product updates and put them into a blog post. And then we bring that here to Whatnot sellers and talk about it live, usually with a product manager who knows those things pretty intimately. Um, But yeah, I mean, we keep raising the bar in terms of what we're building for the platform. And I guess, what stood out to you in 2025 as some of the things that got you maybe the most excited, or that you reflect on it and you're like, those were like step change features or updates.
So, um, one, I think we got a lot more work to do still, and I think
Yeah.
when I look at how good the product and how much better we can serve customers, I think we probably have over a decade of work to do. Now, obviously, I'm very happy with many of the things that the team has built and shipped, but we got a long way to go. I think some highlights. Um, we launched an account health dashboard that just gives people a better visibility into their user experience they're providing for their buyers. It's obviously one of the most important things that you can do as a seller is make sure your experience is good, so you keep getting people coming back and growing your business. Um, we've made it easier for sellers to get discovered. So if you're, operating in a new category, there's much better discovery. If you're a new seller, we help you make sure you get off the ground running. Made a bunch of improvements to our ads product. We launched a bunch of changes into shipping, whether that's like more reliable shipping, tons of extra tooling around it because we know how painful shipping can be to sell all of those items in a live show. We launched a shipping scanner, which enable which we because a lot of the carriers who provide services don't always scan their packages reliably, and it gives you a really good way for buyers to know that it's coming, so you get less inquiries, or we get less inquiries into support. I think as we look forward to next year, some of the things that I'm incredibly excited to give sellers more data and the ability to access that data really easily, so they can understand how to best optimize and run their business. We see that many sellers sell across lots of different channels, so we're building tooling and syncing to make that easy. So you'll see some new stuff there soon. We'll continue to add much more visibility into account health, make sure the data is accurate, make sure you have an understanding of how to manage that. Um, and really, what we're ultimately trying to do is just try and make the product as good as possible, as fast as possible. And so we'll talk to the sellers as we do here, look across the business, make sure we're getting feedback, seeing where the opportunities are, and just try and ship those things as fast as we can to improve the experience for y'all.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I should have said maybe earlier, but I know that I've seen it being pinned in the chat. If you have a question for Grant, pretty soon here we're gonna turn and do some Q&A. Now, of course, we can't get to every question that you guys are asking. There's a whole lot of you here asking a lot of really great questions, and so if we don't get to your question, just know that we will take the transcript of this chat and go through it and share it internally with our teams, and we really appreciate all feedback here. Um, what are we didn't mention flash sales, did we? So like flash sales was a big one last year. Really fun. Chat, have you drop it in the chat if you've experienced a flash sale on Whatnot? I feel like everyone has at this point. And then yeah, so for sure. And then 12 million flash sales were run last year, and that's just like a mind-boggling number. Um, anything in that space, Grant, that you look back on, you're like that was a really fun feature, or something that you want to mention around flash sales?
Look, I think what we want to do is make sure there's fun stuff for buyers to engage in and show, so they have a good time and a good experience. And then we want to continue to give sellers tools that make it efficient to run their business. And so, one of the things that's great about flash sales is as opposed to running one item at a time, you could maybe move 100 units in a minute. And so that can be, efficient for your business, and depending on the supply and where you're sourcing from, it can be a really, really good avenue. And so I think we're really excited with what we've seen there. But watch this space, a lot more to come in terms of making it easy for sellers to run shows and build really efficient businesses. So you'll see improvements to the flash sale format, see more discovery for it. You may see us test some new formats to make sure we're putting the most fun stuff out there in the world.
Awesome. All right. I think look, those are the questions I wanted to ask you that I had prepared, and I think we have a lot of really great questions from chat. And so, Grant, if you're cool with it, we could pivot in that direction and take a few.
Sure, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's kick it off with let's see this question, and mods. If we can get some more queued up in green, that would be sweet. Fossil Frontier. Okay, so it must be a fossil seller, Grant. What made you decide to make Whatnot?
Um, so I started selling online when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I sold Pokemon cards on Yahoo auctions. That was my first ever foray into selling, and then I've always just collected and bought and resold things online. Um, and I just felt like there was a missing experience to make online shopping more fun and more social. And so, in sort of December 2019, me and my co-founder Logan left our jobs to see what we could go and build. We didn't know it would turn into what Whatnot is today. We didn't know it was going to be a live and video based platform. We just thought, um, online shopping should be more fun. A lot of the reason that we bought and resold and collected things was because of the community around it, and we thought there was an opportunity to try and build that online. And then, sort of 6 to 8 months into building that and listening to our customers, talking to them every day, we ended up building a live experience, and sort of the rest is history from there.
Next question comes from Bex Blitz Ltd. Just started my business on here. What's the best way to get buyers in?
Um, so I think the how would I say? So one, if you're a new seller on Whatnot, we actually have made investments in the platform to make sure that you can find a new audience and break through. So we have a feature we call it Star Search internally, and basically what it does, if you're a new seller, it'll give you a little bit of extra promotional boost, so that you can be found as a new seller. Because we know it's hard. Like, starting a new business is a challenging affair. You gotta figure out your economics, you gotta figure out how to market the thing. And then if you're doing it on Whatnot, you have to do that in front of a camera live, right? And so it can be a daunting task. So I think first we try and make it easy um, to be found. Ultimately, what drives a lot of success for sellers on Whatnot is if they provide a really great buyer experience. And so a really great buyer experience, it can range, right? It depends on sort of the business that you're building. Some people on here are amazing entertainers. Some people on here are incredibly knowledgeable about the product that they are selling. Some people have access to products at really great deals through sourcing. And so I think it's, ultimately what it boils down to is, are you providing a great buyer experience? Are people going to come back? And if you can do that, we see people build very, very incredible businesses. You do have to be really thoughtful around what is the business you're creating? How is the experience great? There's definitely like tactical tips and tricks that can help you break through. But I don't have probably all the time in the world. Things like giveaways are quite helpful to start to build a following, get people back in. Ads can be an interesting tool depending on sort of the business that you're building and circumstances around it. So that's a few things. But I would definitely stay close to Whatnot sellers and to the material they put out. They put out a lot of stuff to help new sellers.
Yeah, thanks. And you teed it up for me. I was going to say also there's Seller Academy, which is a really great website. Um, if we could pin that URL for Seller Academy, that is a great resource for new and experienced sellers. And it essentially think of it as like a hub that links out to all other seller resources. So any kind of educational content that exists out there, you can get to it through selleracademy.whatnot.com. Um, One particular piece of content on there that I really suggest for anyone who's talking about, well, how can I attract buyers? This is a question we hear often. Is there is a seller guide that you can click on it. It's like a 10 to 12 page PDF guide, and it covers all of the things that Grant spoke to and more. And it really kind of dives into best practices for new sellers, and I think that that's a really fantastic resource to start out with. Of course, like Grant said, this account, we interview sellers here and we literally ask them, how did you do it? And so you can take inspiration from sellers who have found great success on this platform. Um, Also, these shows that we do here, they are then put later on our YouTube channel. So, we understand not everybody can tune in when we're hosting them live. And so we wanted to make them accessible to you all to consume whenever is convenient for you. And so we also do have a YouTube account. with all the past whatnot sellers. So really, there's an incredible amount of content out there that you could self-serve yourself in terms of educating and leveling up and kind of accelerating that learning curve that comes along with live selling on whatnot. Um, okay, got some really great questions here, and questions, quite frankly, that I've heard quite a few times, and so I kind of know where your perspective is on them, but I think it'll be interesting to touch on. And so let's talk about this one. So lots of folks talking about gift cards and whatnot. Hey, I'd rather give away whatnot credits and keep it all on the platform, etc. Um, anything you can tease out in that space?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the team's actively looking at whatnot gift cards. Um, we'll do it. I don't have an exact timeline right now. The the thing that's a little bit tricky with gift cards is all the compliance around them in all of the countries that we're in. And so it, if it wasn't for compliance, we could launch gift cards, in a week. Because we have to manage the legal complexity of 10 countries, that's sort of the challenge. I can guarantee you we'll have them. I just can't guarantee you the exact timeline, and I can guarantee you that the team is having active discussions on how to best bring them onto the platform. We agree it would be really great to be able to do gift card giveaways, which would encourage folks to continue, you know, bre- spending with you as a seller, and just provide a really great experience for new folks.
Yeah, so definitely top of mind for the teams, and thank you for touching on that one, Grant. That's a good one. And then a lot of questions also on support, and so maybe you can touch on how are we evolving, support.
Buyer support or seller support or
I
all
think
the support.
generally, probably, and I'm guessing it's seller support for buyers, more or less.
Seller support for buy. Yeah, look, I think um, we fundamentally we do the same thing across the teams, which is uh, we look at what the biggest problems are, what the solutions to those problems could be. We stack rank them when we move through the list. And so, by no stretch of the imagination do I think our support experiences across buyer or seller are where they should be. And so, and then funny enough, probably operations, CX, trust and safety is where I'm spending the vast majority of my time. And so each day we're just trying to make those things much, much, much better. Whether that's automations on the buyer side, improving the edge cases and education of our agents on the seller side. I think when you look, very far out, you should be able to expect things like phone support. You should be able to expect things like text message support, in-app messaging. Will give sellers the ability to manage the support really well with buyers. We'll always be able to step in if we can manage the problem better than you. And so I think our hope is to be able to provide literally the best customer support experience on the internet. I think we're a ways from that, but that's our North Star, and we'll try and improve it every day. And I'll give you a fun stat. Last year, because of improvements we made to support, I think we increased our support volume by like 4 or 5x across the whole business. And despite that 4 or 5x increase, which is millions and millions and millions of support requests. We improved on the buyer side our what we call CSAT, which is you sort of get a little survey at the end, and are you happy with it? We improved that by about 10%, while increasing support requests 4 or 5x. And so I think our aim is just to continue to do that through time, both for sellers and buyers. And so you'll see it's one of the areas we've made the biggest investments across whatnot. Much to do, but a lot of good progress, and I think expect lots of different support channels, um, better answers to questions that we can't answer as well today, faster support, um, and all the things in between.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Look, what excites me, one of the things that excites me the most about working here is that I feel like we're still in very early days. Like there's still so much more to build, and that's exciting. And I appreciate you shedding some light on that. With respect to that, what are some, and this question comes from Pepperoni 565937. What are some of the features you're most excited to release in 2026 this year?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Hmm, I'm excited by. a lot of things. So I'm excited to give sellers more shipping options. So start to see some more carrier availability. I think that's gonna make it much easier to run certain parts of your business or certain categories on whatnot. I'm very excited for everything we can do around seller tooling to make it easier for you to run your business. So expect things like a copilot, where you can ask data questions to it or prompt it to, grab a label for a particular customer. We want to make your business really easy, or be able to, sync your inventory across multiple channels and deeply understand your business and insights. What else am I excited about? We're piloting a feature in the UK called Gems currently, which sort of makes live a little bit more fun because from watching or following, you can get some points, and those points you can use to get new emojis and custom avatars and things. I think it's just like a fun experience on whatnot that you can. It sort of like makes the general viewing experience more fun without spending money, which I think is just going to be a great ad for everyone. Um, so those are just a few. I'm sure there's a lot more. I think the way we sort of run whatnot is we generally do planning every 4 months, and we sort of look at what we're building and what we're focused on as a company. And then across each planning cycle, we have what we call critical projects, which we think are the most important projects to build a great platform. And every 4 months, there's at least about 15 to 20 of them, just to give you a sense of the number of things that we're trying to improve. So, if we have a good year this year, we'll ship 200 to 300 plus major improvements across the platform. So probably too many for me to be able to talk through, and I'm excited for all of them.
So, yeah, that's crazy. When you break it down number wise like that, it's wild. And how much we shipped last year is just makes your head spin when you really reflect back on it. Shout out to the teams that are building those. So engineering, product, unbelievable folks, very talented folks building that stuff out. Next question is a good one. It comes from TMAC underscore exclusives. What ideas do we have on implementing AI?
So I think the area we're most excited about for AI is actually helping sellers run their businesses. So what we can see with AI internally at Whatnot is it's become an incredible tool for productivity across our business. So we built an internal tool called DataBot. You can ask DataBot any number of questions about how Whatnot is working today. It will spit back that data to you. Um, we're excited to bring that to sellers. Um, we're seeing our engineering teams that leverage, the coding tools for AI be 2 or 3x faster. So they're, as we're about 1,000 employees now, and we'll probably be 14 or 1,500 by the end of the year. Um, and people are speeding up because of some of these tools. And so I think the greatest opportunity is are actually just incredible productivity enhancements.
Yeah.
AI is not going to replace people or anything like that. People are really important, but it can make your business far more efficient. So I think it's going to um, help with running shows. You might this is future. We don't have this exactly in the works, but it might be able to have an AI moderator that you can chat to in the show who can help with moderating, pulling out questions, giving you tips along the way. You're certainly going to be able to ask, who are what products are selling the best, what categories are selling the best, what insights would you have on the best times to go live. I think those are like really obvious use cases where it's good at synthesizing the data that's available. So I think what you'll see um, from us, probably the biggest investment area is going to be enabling you all to run your businesses way more efficiently by us integrating AI across the platform for you.
It's exciting. It's an incredible space. The next question, I got a couple more here, Grant, and then we'll wrap. But this one comes from Cheap Girl Fabrics. Any plans to improve the buy it now experience, making it easier for buyers to navigate, etc.?
Yeah, we have a lot of improvements across Buy It Now that we're working on right now, from variants to making it a little bit more fun, from making the discovery of it better. We're also currently piloting a VOD buy it now experience. Some people may have seen some reels like videos in their feed. So we think that's a really great way to engage your audience when you're not live. And we've seen it actually be incredibly effective at just getting people into live shows and looking up what's in your buy it now inventory. Um, I think there's incredible amount of opportunity for people to leverage buy it nows to expand their business. And as we make that product better, it's only going to get bigger. So if you're a seller in here, anytime you go live, I would definitely have a buy it now section. I would make sure you have the right information, the right pricing, encourage buyers to go in there. It's such an incredible way to just help make your business run more efficiently. And you're going to see a bunch of improvements from us there.
Awesome. Thank you, Grant. Um, kind of speeding through these, which is awesome. We get to a few more. Annie Oakley 99 is asking, any plans to add a shopping cart? Would be nice to have a cart to shop in. You can bundle things.
We'll definitely add a shopping cart. It's not on the near term roadmap right now, because I think we want to make the core buy it now experience a little bit better first. We do find that a lot of people are buying one at a time as items are pinned. And so to help, combat some of the problems of not having a shopping cart, we're investing still a lot in like bundled shipping, making sure that's efficient and easy for folks. So yes, we will do it, but I can't give you a timeline on exactly when it will happen. And it's not actively getting worked on now, but we know we need to build one and we will work on it.
Can you guys hear my dog chewing on this thing? Or he's got
You're
a treat, actually a treat from Whatnot, but he's just munching away on it. And I apologize if that's okay. No, that's good.
no, you're good. Good on my end, at least.
Okay, cool. And shout out to the pets category. Arlo, my dog, has really been enjoying it. Next question comes from 216 underscore shop. Any work we're doing around better visibility on pre-bids like notifications? Yeah.
Yes, I think we've actually shipped a bunch of improvements in the past month and a half on pre-bids. So just making buyers aware of them. If people do change any of their shows or any details, making sure that they can pre-bid again. We now are dog fooding um, a bids tab that will have all of your pre-bids there if you are a buyer. So if you pre-bid, you can check the status. And I don't I should know this, but I don't. Kenny, maybe you know. I know we've launched a bunch of improvements just to make it easier for sellers or about to slash dog fooding, sorting, and just finding pre-bids in your shows. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
think those are
those things are still being tested and rolling out incrementally. Um, but maybe you could touch on what is dog food. So what do you mean when you say I mean, everyone at Whatnot knows dog fooding, but when we say
yes.
dog fooding, what do we mean there?
So when we build new products or experiences or features at Whatnot, the first thing we do, well, first we're gonna like talk to people, look at the data, make sure it solves a real problem. Then we're gonna go and build it. And then before, once it's built, all of the teams at Whatnot need to use it. So you need to test it, find any bugs, make sure it's working well, go sell live. So we require everyone at Whatnot to both buy and sell regularly on the platform to make sure we understand all the pain points, where to improve it. And then once the teams have dog food, it rolls out to the whole company. Whole company then tests it. And then once the whole company tests it, we'll start to roll it out to customers. Sometimes we do it in certain countries. Sometimes we do it in certain platforms. Sometimes we do that to a small percentage of folks, and a lot of that just depends on um, what exactly the feature is. And if it's good, we'll fully roll it out. If there's some things to fix, we'll fix it, improve it, and then make sure it's ready for prime time before we get it in everyone's hands.
Yeah, fun fact, the term dog fooding came from the was it Alpro, pet food company? Back in the '80s, they had an advertisement that said something along the lines of, "Our dog food is so good that we feed it to our own dogs." And that's where that term came from, and it's honestly one of the things, Grant, that I love the most about the culture here is that everybody at Whatnot sells on Whatnot. Everyone that works at Whatnot is a seller and is a buyer and is highly encouraged to provide feedback, report glitches and all that sort of thing. And it's something that I found so fun, and it really kind of how in the world can we build this incredible platform if we ourselves don't use it? And so I do appreciate that part of our culture a whole lot. Um, Next two questions, and then we're gonna wrap. The This one comes from Blue Unicorn Boutique. What three marketing initiatives will you implement in 2026 to get more buyers?
Sure.
Very specific question.
Yeah, no, it's good. So first, when you look at the marketing budget from 2025 to 2026 across all of Whatnot, it's about 2.5x as large, just to give you a sense. And the spend was, pretty material across Whatnot this year, but you're going to see 2.5x. Um, so I won't be able to get into everything that 2.5x spend will do, but I can tell you that the marketing investment now in the platform is very, very significant. But you will start to see more mainstream advertising in towards sort of the second half of the year, TV, billboards, the fun stuff. You're going to see a lot more incentives come up for buyers to get them to convert. So right now we're testing um, coupons for new buyers. So many of your buyers may actually be getting those right now: $10 coupons, $15 coupons, $20 coupons. Um, and then you'll see more investment in what I would sort of call like cultural moments, for lack of a better term. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up for the Super Bowl. You're going to continue to see us press some of our Whatnot events like Black Friday, and so we had a monster Black Friday this year. I think we did over $100 million in sales. And you're going to see us try and 2x that, next year. And so that's going to be coupons, incentives, marketing, and paid, um, and so forth. So those are a few of the things we're doing, but we got a lot more. If you went into the hood, I just wouldn't have enough time to walk through all of it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's wrap it. What we'll do is we'll do this question, Grant, and then we'll give you some, opportunity to say a few last words, and then we'll raid a seller and call the show. So, a lot of folks are kind of curious about like, what do you actually buy on what? And this is more of a personal question, which is a fun one. What do you buy on Whatnot? Where do you spend your time on Whatnot?
I try to buy across everything. It really just depends. Some of my recent favorite purchases, I've been buying a lot of food and drinks. There's this farm in San Diego called Farmy Fresh on Whatnot. And I live in LA, so you can get I can basically get next day organic tangerines and citrus to my house. It's pretty magical. They're very good. Um,
Best blood
over
orange,
the
by the way, I've ever had.
So good.
So good.
For the holidays, I have a little niece. She's really into Labubu, so I bought her many Labubus on Whatnot. I really like designer toys. I'm not currently in my office right now because I'm traveling, but if you were to take a look at my normal office, I have a giant shelf full of designer toys. So those are just a few of the things, and um, I love the breadth of the categories on Whatnot. 'Cause I think there's so many fun sellers to discover and new experiences on there.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun too. I like to just go into categories that I don't even necessarily have a personal interest in, just to see what's going on in there. And it's like it's unbelievable. I'm like always amazed. Like plants. I mean, I like plants. I don't have anything against plants, but just the vibe in those plant shows is so good. It makes you want to buy plants. But unfortunately, I can't really keep them alive so well. So, um, okay, look, thank you everybody for joining. This has been incredible. I think it's such a treat to be able to chat with you, Grant. Ask you these questions in front of our community, our users, our customers. Um, as always, chat, make sure you're bookmarking the upcoming shows on this account. Like I said, next Wednesday, we have one on shipping, which we know for newer sellers is something that y'all have a lot of questions about. So I'll be joined by an internal expert on logistics, and we'll go over like what we like to call shipping 101 and then take your questions on it. So that's interesting to you. Bookmark that. And then we've also got shows scheduled out for the next few months. So check out what's out there and bookmark what's relevant to you. Um, Thank you so much. Grant, any final words to our community before we wrap up and raid?
I just want to thank everyone for joining. Whatnot isn't anything without all the folks who are in here and who help make the community amazing. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the questions. Thank you everyone for joining, and then thank you, Kenny, for being an amazing MC.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will say that I've been very lucky in my career. Got to work at a lot of really cool tech companies. But this one takes the cake, and so super excited about what we're building here, and super excited to be building it with everyone who's joined here in the chat and with everyone that works at Whatnot. Absolutely awesome company, and I'm so grateful to be here. Um, with that, we're gonna rate a seller by the name of Lunar Liquidation. Chelsea and Megan run this account. Very, very entertaining sellers. They usually sell women's fashion, but look, chat, pull up, say hello, be nice. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to tip, but this is just what we like to wrap our shows with a raid. It's a great community feature. Essentially, we're going to send 12, 1,300 people into a show. And with that, Grant, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time and hope to have you back.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone. 2026 is going to be an incredible year. Excited to see what the community can do. Take care, all.